Sawadika, thank you for joining us for this week on NBT World. I'm Sandra Han Utsaha, and I'll be your host. Our guest for tonight is Professor Dr. Thedawat Hematuta, a committee member of the National Reform Committee on Public Health, who will be shedding some light on marijuana and its legalization. But first, let's have a look at what has been happening with the cabinet this week.
The weekly cabinet meeting has allocated another 5 billion baht to support rice agriculture during the current production year. Advisor to the Prime Minister's office, Natpon Jatusipitak, revealed that the cabinet this week approved an additional agricultural assistance budget of approximately 5.07 billion baht. The funds will go to harvesting assistance and quality development for the rice farming in the 2018-19 production year. Of the amount, roughly 4.96 billion baht has been earmarked for agricultural assistance and 109 million baht for the operations of the state-owned Bank for Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperatives. Financial aid for rice harvesting will be dispersed at a rate of 1,500 baht per 0.16 hectares, capped at 1.92 hectares or 18,000 baht per agricultural household. The government has set a target of benefiting 4.06 million households, which would reportedly cost 56.47 billion baht. In addition, the spokesperson said the cabinet has resolved to adjust the budget for the 1 million unit low-cost housing project after the public showed overwhelming interest in the program. He said that earlier the government set a budget of 20 billion baht to help those earning less than 25,000 baht a month and 13 billion baht for those who earn more than 25,000 baht to buy a house from the initiative. The adjustment proposed by the Finance Ministry increases the budget for a former group to 40 billion baht and decreases the budget of the latter group to 10 billion baht. Furthermore, the cabinet also moved the deadline for those interested in the program to complete the loan deal with the Government Housing Bank from December 30th this year to December 30th, 2021.
And that is it for our first segment. It's time for a quick break now, but do stay tuned for our interview with Professor Dr. Thedawat Hematuta, a committee member of the National Reform Committee on Public Health, about marijuana. Welcome back. You're watching This Week on NBT World. As we all know, Thailand has approved marijuana for medical use and research, the first legalization of the drug in the region. Under the revised Narcotics Control Act, possession of marijuana and garatam within legal limits will be allowed for treatment of certain diseases, for first aid, or in cases of emergency. However, anyone possessing more than 10 kilograms of marijuana will be treated as having the intent to sell it illegally, and the possession of marijuana for purposes other than the strict limits outlined under the law remains liable to legal action. And tonight we will talk about marijuana with Professor Dr. Thedawat Hematuta, who is a committee member of the National Reform Committee on Public Health. Sawadika, Professor Dr. Thedawat.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Sawadika.
Now, first of all, can you tell us what were the major obstacles of the legalization of marijuana for medical purposes before it received approval?
Well, I would like to explain that the situation of cannabis use here has been existing for several hundreds of years, and right now, currently, the use of the cannabis of ganja here in Thailand, we can say that it's at the step 4 of the 5 steps in terms of the law level in a purpose aspect. Let me explain a little bit about the step 4. So right now, we are in the stage of the self-remedy. So it means that the citizens here or the Thai people here use it by his or her own with the instructions or with the supervision of friends or of the neighbor. So, but legally, this group or these people are classified or are categorized as the people in the underground society, which is illegal. But this practice, I should say that it has been existing for, as I mentioned earlier, for several hundred years, and we can look at the literatures from the past that it has been used as a household remedy or home medicine by the traditional doctor or the traditional monk. So we Thai people recognize the use or the usefulness of the gancha for a long time ago, and its usefulness has not been limited to just only four or five medical conditions that the medical literatures mention, and then those mentioned just limited to uh, just specific diseases, and then can be applied to just only hundreds of people who are affected by these diseases.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, but the gancha can be used. We not limited to the disease. We say that it can be used for conditions, not the specific disease, because one condition can be caused by 10 or 20 diseases. For instance, when we talk about the spasticity or the muscle stiffness caused by the abnormalities or disorders of the brain or of the spinal cord, either by the vascular injuries or by the trauma or accidents. Then, so after the critical event passed, then the spasticity comes, or in the kids or children born with the something wrong during uh, um, labor.
Mm-hmm.
So they become or having the cerebral palsy, and they were affected by seizures, by epilepsy, which cannot be controlled very easily, and
Mm-hmm.
by very abnormal or very unusual abnormal movement disorders.
Mm-hmm.
So these conditions, we now witness that these people or these poor people, kids or adults or elderly, can be eased by the use of gancha by these people in the underground.
Mm-hmm.
So we, I'm a, not an ancient doctor. I'm a present day doctor,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say that I'm quite impressed by the evidence that I saw in the past 6 to 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
and these people survive, and then just with just only minimum of money
Mm-hmm.
that they have to spend, and then to buy the products from their friends or from the communities that they were in.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that background information about marijuana use here in Thailand. So, does this history of marijuana use in Thailand affect the legalization, or is it affected by the legalization of marijuana in the country?
The I think Thailand suffer from the this stigma from the policymaker or from the government during the past 4 years, and this also true in the United States or in the European countries, that it has been stigmatized for the past 50 years. I think the scientists in abroad, they start recognizing the benefit of the gancha since before 1990s,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that they start experimenting in the laboratory in non-human primates and
Mm-hmm.
also in rodents.
Mm-hmm.
Then they prove that the gancha has the properties and then exerts some beneficial effects, and then it's like it control itself, control the or the dysregulation of the system in the body, not just only the brain or central nervous systems, but
Mm-hmm.
also the general conscience as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes to light the medical communities all over the world. But here in Thailand, as far as I look at the literatures here, not the in the international medical literatures, but what recorded in the society here. So I'm not surprised at all when the people from many countries uh, doing the lecture here and then describing that they run the controlled trials about the use of cannabis or gancha for the medical conditions. We have witnessed this for a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have in fact heard that there are strains of marijuana here in Thailand that are quite effective at treating certain medical conditions. And so I am wondering that, again, so we need to look at the Narcotics Act. According to the current Narcotics Act, who is it that can legally possess or have the right to grow this kind of plant?
The right to grow, I think, and this is a bit too far for me. I'm rather concerned about the use of the gancha for medical purpose. But according to the law and regulations, and that the Thai FDA start to pass it within the next week or next 2 weeks. That is the regulations that who can possess the marijuana, and then who can grow, who can cultivate the marijuana. Uh, uh, it's very unfortunate that they look at the industrial scale, not looking at the individual people who grow the cannabis at the
Mm-hmm.
backyard and
Mm-hmm.
then use it for their own purpose or for the neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're trying to say that, okay, we cannot see at the very, very big picture at the industrial scale. We have to maintain what has been going on here as a household remedy. But it should be limited or restricted to the medical purpose, but not for a wide scale of the recreational. I mean, this is just not a time for the recreational. I mean, for everyone who can use it,
Mm-hmm.
like in the Western world.
Mm-hmm. So the legal purpose now is to make sure that the cannabis is used only for medical purposes and research purposes. Is that correct? Not for
Yes,
recreational use.
not for recreational use, but in the future, if the people recognize its usefulness and recognize its a hazard by the wrongful use, then if they have the well, I mean, literated, I mean, about the use and the bad things of the cannabis.
Mm-hmm. What
So
are the bad things about cannabis exactly?
okay, the first one is that if you use it at the excessive dose, I mean, exaggerated dose than usual in a very rapid time, then it causes uh, um, in fact, that high mao is the like you get drunk, you
Mm-hmm.
get high, and then you get drunk at the same time, and then after that you get low blood pressure associated with a low heart rate, and then you get faint. So so this is the one of the most serious things that we have to consider.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing the recreational, people tend to think that okay, they want the high state very very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get that, I mean, they need the substance which has the psychoactive properties, which we call it the THC. And
Mm-hmm.
then by using such amount at a very rapid time course, so it causes the side effects, and it also may get that people who are already vulnerable to have the addict to get addiction,
Mm-hmm.
because right now we know that, I mean, people who get addicted to ganja
Mm-hmm.
has the genetics components that predispose them to be addict, to be
Oh,
addicted.
okay. So they're
And
genetically predisposed. Mm-hmm.
right. So I mean, here in Thailand, we do not know. I mean, who will have that genetic predisposition.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is not just only the addiction, but it's also the psychotic like behavior. Because I mean, we do not know that. I mean, how many percentage of the people who use it for high purpose,
Mm-hmm.
for recreation,
Right.
then will get the psychotic like reactions.
Right. Dr. Tilawat, I'm so sorry we've run out of time, but thank you so much for speaking with us.
Okay. Yes.
ขอบคุณค่ะ ส
Okay.
วัสดีค่ะ
Okay. Sorry.
And that was our discussion on marijuana with Professor Dr. Thitawat Hematuta. And that is it for this edition of This Week on NBT World. Thank you so much for joining me, Sandra Han Utsaha, and the rest of the team. สวัสดีค่ะ